Hey guys, it's Pedro back for another video with the channel. Alright, and so with the end of the group stage of Valorant Champions wrapping up, there's now a little bit of time to kind of reassess what happened within said stage and kind of just look forward also to playoffs and just kind of looking at all of the teams that are going to be taking part in said playoffs. And of course, definitely many things have happened, many highs, many lows, many surprises, many of the things of the expected happened as well. And so, but before I kind of go back into just kind of or what happened so far in the event, I gotta address the elephant that is in my room. Not mincing words, I kind of fucked up in the pickems for group stage, specifically in one and two of the groups. And yeah, as you guys can kind of see, I kind of have it right here just for you guys to look at again, and also for the people that haven't looked at one of my most recent community posts. Here it is. I'm calling myself a fraud because, frankly enough, I do deserve to be using that moniker for myself. And so, yeah. As for why I call myself a fraud, let's just go over back into the review of the pick'ems. I mean, Group A. I mean, sure, there's a little bit of a few hiccups here and there, but ultimately, I came out with selecting the two right teams to progress to playoffs. Got to switch them around to kind of get that 100%, but still. Group B, a little bit of a different story. Didn't see Genji to crash out like that. They fell to both Sentinels and Heretics, to both teams that would go on to make playoffs. And so besides that, I was able to put Sentinels in on the right place. So yeah, good on me over that. And yeah, Group C, I will say that I was able to my hunch of an upset kind of team to make some noise in the event. I mean, that part came true. It's just that I got the wrong team. Put talent to come in to the playoffs. In addition to Leviathan, obviously that didn't happen for Talon. The team that ended up being the surprise was Trace, and they did it as the first team on top of that. And so, yeah, they beat Leviathan and Vitality to make that happen. And yeah, major surprise there. Leviathan made it through, but as a second seed. So, and Group D, oh god, Group D, I just fucked up so much. So, I believe that Paper Hills was going to bounce back in an emphatic way in this group stage. That didn't happen. They fell to G2. They bounced back against Foot, but they fell again, this time to EDG. Um, there's nothing else to kind of say but to say, like, major disappointment for this Paperworks team. And as for EDG, I'm sure you guys remember me saying that I had no faith in this roster with the inclusion of Simon, and putting nobody onto IGL, and then Haladong moving over to like on the sideline slash coaching role. And despite my words, EDG just basically told me to shut the fuck up and just sit down and watch them do shit as in popping off, and that's what they did. Uh, beating Foot, losing to G2, but bouncing back and taking down PRX. And so it'll be EDG and G2 moving on, not PaperX. PaperX are going down. We'll just have to see what happens with them and also the rest of the other eliminated teams that got out from the group stage of champions. And so what that leaves us now is 8 teams. Three of them are from Americas. Two are them. No, two of them are from EMEA. Two of them are from China, and one of them is from Pacific. And I'll give you a quick rundown of those teams. Them being DRX, Sentinels, Trace Esports, Edward Gaming, G2 Esports, Leviathan, Team Heretics, and Fnatic. And so basically, we have three domestic matchups taking place in the upper bracket or in the first round of the playoffs. For me, I don't like it. I mean, it's basically going to be a rehash of what happened in the regular season, technically ish. But I just more prefer having inter-regional matchups, or more so just teams from different regions taking each other on in playoffs from the jump. And so major disappointment there, but still it'll be interesting to see how these matches will play out. Whether it'll be the same story as what we've seen from prior matchups in the regular season earlier on in the year, or we're going to see a little bit of a different story in playoffs. And so that's it. I did the pick'ems for group stage, so I got to pick. So I got to follow that up with the pick'ems for playoffs. And so first up, DRX Sentinels. DRX qualified for from their group as a first seed. Group RX kind of saw them making it because of that hunch, because of their past history. Happy that I wasn't disappointed in seeing their form, and so they're going up against the Sentinel squad that has been able to recover in a very great way, exacting revenge over Gen G from their initial opening matchup in the competition to beat them to advance to playoffs. And so, given that I feel that Sentinels are going to be in a position where they're going to continue their momentum because they took down Gen G, a squad that was coming into it I was coming into it with a Masters Championship under their belts. I kind of feel they have the upper hand here. So I'm gonna go for Sentinels to go over DRX in their matchup. DRX, I don't think they're going to be able to take down Sentinels with their because of Sentinel's variety of a map pool and it being so vast and so experienced, and just them being more experienced on the international level. And sure, you got Mako and Buzz, that kind of counters my argument, but now we're in the big stage for the other members of the squad, them being Flashback, Foxy9, and Bane. And also Bane and Zosis, the Vive merchants of both squads, but I feel experience is going to play itself out in a better way for Sentinels. So Sentinels comes out on top, they move on. Trace and Edward Gaming, Chinese Civil War. Trace, obviously, the surprise team from their region and just making it big on the international stage, beating Leviathan, beating Vitality to make it to this stage as the first seed of their group. And so, momentum aside, they're definitely on fire on that. But they're going to be taking on an EDG squad that kind of say the same thing for them because they've not been able to, well, more so they've just been disappointing in the international level so far this year before the start of this competition. That said, with the teams kind of being very familiar with one another and just Edward Gaming almost always having the upper hand over Trace Esports, I kind of leaning heavily more on to EDG to continue this form and just beat Trace to advance to the semifinals of the upper bracket. Sure, Trace are being seen as no pushover whatsoever, but I still don't think that they're gonna take down EDG just because of the past history. So EDG moves on over Trace to take on Sentinels. G2 and Leviathan. G2 and Leviathan, both teams are very, very experienced from both the regular season and also playoffs. Back in stage one, G2 got the upper hand, beating Leviathan to make it to the grand finals of stage one. Stage two, G2 kind of continued that success over Leviathan, beating them in the upper bracket final to advance to the grand finals. Leviathan bounced back from the lower bracket to finally get revenge over G2 to clinch their own inaugural, or more so first ever, VCT America's title over G2. But still, G2 are continuing their form on the international level, beating PaperX and EDG to advance to playoffs as the first seed of the group. Leviathan, sure, they had that hiccup over Trace, but they did defeat Vitality to make it to playoffs. And so obviously these two teams are very familiar with one another. Uh, Also, both teams have kind of been kind of changing things up a notch when it comes to playing in champions. Obviously, Leviathan played a little bit of the deadlock, and then G2 played a little bit of a different Haven comp against EDG. G2, I feel, are a very great squad, but in my mind, Leviathan has the potential to kind of bounce back from that initial loss to Trace and kind of finally get their ground running towards mounting a good run towards winning that championship title and fulfilling the expectations that were brought there upon him. I feel the team is going to bounce back in a way that will overwhelm G2. And Aspas being Aspas, of course, he's going to have a familiar showing over that G2 squad in addition to other members of the squad, Tex, Mazzino, King, a little bit of Calm. So yeah, I kind of feel Leviathan's going to take that one. So Leviathan over G2. Heretics and Fnatic, Boaster said in an interview that I had with him that he didn't really want to face Heretics so early on in the playoffs. Unfortunately, this is going to happen, and I do understand that last time these two teams faced each other was in the Stage 1 finals, and Fnatic came out on top on that one. But still, I will not ignore the fact that Heretics has been able to beat Fnatic in other occasions this year. And so, that said, these two teams are just, it's so hard to say because I feel both of them are on equal footing. Of course, when Heretics is coming into this playoffs as a first seed from what many saw as the group of death, that will not be something that will be underestimated. And then you got Fnatic, reigning EME champions, and just the team on the come up, and kind of have a very studded uh, roster that has championship pedigree in addition to that. And so it's tough to say. It's really tough to say. Like Heretics, though they're young, have been able to just play so well and just be peaking at the right moment. And you got Fnatic with that Boaster, Alpha Year, Chronicle, Durka, and then a little bit of Hero on the side. And so it's tough. It's really tough. But I feel Heretics might be able to get the job done and kind of exact revenge from that Stage 1 championship loss to Fnatic. And so I'm going to say Heretics. So that's it. Going a little bit over to the lower bracket. DRX Trace. I think this will be the end of Trace's run, Cinderella run in this competition. I feel DRX are going to be the better team in this one over the Chinese outfit. I like to be proven wrong, of course, but DRX having the hometown buff, I feel that's going to carry them forward. In addition to their knack for bouncing back from losses in general. So DRX over Trace. And then G2 and Fnatic. Oh my fucking god. This will be tough. This will definitely be tough. I don't know why, but I feel Fnatic might be able to take this one on over G2 because I mean Fnatic I don't feel might be a team that will just kind of crash out in the first round of the lower bracket. I mean, might be talking out of my ass because I mean, for sure, I mean, I call myself a fraud, but who gives a fuck? I'm just gonna do whatever that comes to me from the jump, so that I don't have to like kind of hesitate after making this video. So that said, Fnatic goes over G2. It'll be the end of G2's run in a very disappointing way. And yeah, Fnatic over G2. Let's move on. Sentinels over EDG. Sentinels over EDG. I believe this is the first time that they'll face each other on VCT, on the VCT circuit. I believe they face each other like in the off season. I might be wrong on that. And yeah, EDG was able to make it to their highest placement in the upper bracket or in any international setting. but I think this is going to be the end of their upper bracket run because I feel Sentinels are going to be able to finally move on and just kind of continue their form over beating DRX, and Sentinels goes on top. They move on to the upper finals. Leviathan and Heretics. Oh my god, it just does not get any easier in this um, upper bracket semifinals thing. So this is the first time they're going to be facing each other on any tournament, and so it'll be definitely be a sight to see. But I don't know, man. I think it's because I think it's because I'm a fucking America's homer that I feel Leviathan is going to win this over Heretics. I don't know. I don't know, man. In many ways, this is a match in which both teams have kind of similar firepower. With, you got Mini Boo. Sure, he's been struggling, but I mean, you never know whenever a player like him will be able to wake up and just kind of pop off. Of course, we got Woot, just kind of distinguishing himself as one of the best players in EMEA, and one might say one of the best players in the world. And you got that counter with Aspas, and then the cast that surrounds him in supporting him and just letting him do his thing. It's a very tough matchup, but then again, like I said, America's homer. I want I want an America's team to kind of continue holding the Champions Trophy for another year. And so that said, I'm gonna go for Leviathan to move on to the upper finals. Over to the lower bracket again, Heretics and DRX. Um, Another tough one, I would say, but I feel with these two teams kind of being similar in kind of having young players and just having a lot of experience. Um, it'll be an interesting matchup to see how these two teams will contrast each other. And although DRX might have the hometown buff, I don't think they will be able to match up um, their group stage showing over the likes of Heretics. And so that said, I think Heretics are going to move on and reach top four over DRX, thus ending Pacific's participation in Champions 2024. And then we got EDG, Fnatic. Um, I mean, at this point, many people are very familiar with Fnatic's famous lower bracket one. Sure, we got some good examples, such as, Reykjavik in 2021, and then a little bit maybe also last year in Champions 2023, in which they failed to Loud in the first round of the upper bracket, but then they were able to claw their way back on to being roughly like two matches away from getting to the grand finals, ultimately finishing in fourth. And so I feel Fanatics is going to go on into another famous lower bracket run over EDG. I don't think EDG is going to be able to beat Fnatic after losing to Sentinels in the upper bracket. And so that's it. Their highest mark in an international event will remain at fifth and sixth, and so they will lose to Fnatic, and Fnatic will move on to the lower bracket third round. And so we have an America's EMEA teams, two EMEA squads duking each other out within their own region for a spot into the grand final. And so first and foremost, we got the upper bracket final in Sentinels in Leviathan. Looking at the history between these two sides, they've only faced each other twice in 2024. Just both of them being like literally at the very start of the year, like as in one in kickoff in the decider match of their group in the group stage, and then also I believe it was the first match for both squads in their regular season in stage one. And so been a long time since both teams have kind of faced each other, and sure, Leviathan has been able to then improve to the point of being recently America's champions. And sure, Sentinels have been kind of struggling recently in a few months before the start of Champions. It's going to be a toss-up, like a very toss-up, like a kind of, in many ways, a flip of a coin because of just how good these two teams are whenever they are on top of their game. And so, just to also remind you guys, it'll be an amalgamation of very intriguing storylines. And, Sasi, Aspas, and you got Lev, or Calm and Aspas trying to be two-time world champions. And you got Sasi trying to be a two-time world champion as well. And then Sentinels, the Masters champions, and then Leviathan, the recent VCT Americas champion. Very tough to say. Very, very tough to say. And so, even so, I think Leviathan's going to be able to continue their run and finally be on the brink of just fulfilling everyone's expectations for them before the start of this year. Aspas said that he joined this team to be world champion. He said that to me in the pre-event interview I did with him before the start of kickoff. And so it's going to happen for Leviathan over Sentinel, so they move on to the grand finals. So Heretics, Fnatic, obviously looking over to the first round in the upper bracket. Heretics got the better of Fnatic, but Fnatic's going to get that rematch over Heretics. They are going to be at a point where no one is going to stop them, even if they do face a very young but very boisterous and energetic and very promising team such as Heretics. And so Heretics' run will end in this point, finishing top four. A very impressive showing, a very impressive season at the very same time. But Fnatic will be able to move on and face Sentinels in the lower bracket finals. This is the first time these two teams would meet since Lock-in 2023, and even before that, the last time they faced was in that famous Masters Reykjavik 2021 Grand Finals where Sentinels won 3-0. And it'll be a very interesting match if this did happen between Sentinels and Fnatic. And so, that said, though, this hunch is continuing to hit me and just kind of bite me on the neck, or figuratively speaking. And Fnatic, I feel they're going to be moving on. I think it's going to be Bolster's time to now finally see the fruits of his labor, or the time he kind of put in to the game, finally giving fruit and just push him towards reaching, or pushing him towards the grand finals. And he will then face off against Leviathan, a very amazing matchup that has all the makings of a classic. And so, that said, with all that said about what I said about Leviathan and Fnatic and all the things that they said about themselves and everything else that everyone else said over them, myself included, at the end of the day, that's it. That is it. Leviathan will win. I got no words to describe this. I feel, well, since I'm gonna say it right now, I kind of am BSing myself, but to kind of a little bit to kind of explain it, Leviathan has always been a very good team. Sure, they lost to Trace, and sure that kind of might have also brought about a few questions about whether or not they'll be able to make a deep run in this event. But I don't know, man. The time I talked to Aspas and Calm, everyone, and then everyone else within the team, kind of has me believing in their potential towards winning the title, winning the world title, and just being the first squad to see, or more so being, or more so causing the first ever two-time world champions in year 4 of the existence of the champions tournament as a whole. And so, Leviathan over Fnatic, Bolster, despite pulling off an immense and amazing lower bracket run like Reykjavik 2021, he will have to kind of wait again for next year and just hope to win the title in 2025. And the same can be said for everyone else except for Leviathan. Leviathan, for me, will be the champions at the end of Valorant Champions 2024 in Seoul, South Korea. And so that about wraps up all of my pick'ems for playoffs. That said, That about wraps up all of my pickems for playoffs in Valorant Champions 2024. Thank you so much for listening, watching, and keeping up with my coverage of this event. I'll be sure to continue doing interviews whenever I can. That said, take care. See you guys in the next one.